My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Disenchanted. And I love the first movie. I think it does everything Frozen was trying to do, but much better. It both manages to be a cliche Disney movie while also being a spoof of it at the same time, and it really worked. And I say this unironically, but Amy Adams actually deserved an Oscar for that movie. She is so perfect in it. She's so over the top and vibrant and full of life, and she just acts like a Disney princess in a way that feels authentic to her character, and I just think she pulls it off incredibly well. But I was not excited for this sequel because I've heard rumors about it for a few years. It was happening, not happening, happening, not happening, and then they're like, well, we can just dump it on Disney Plus, and they're like, okay, great, we'll make it happen. So that didn't get me excited. I saw the trailers and I didn't think it looked any good, and after watching it, I can confirm this movie is not good. It's not as bad as something like Hocus Pocus 2, because at least while I was watching it, I wasn't bored. I wasn't like, oh, this is so awful, but there's very little good to this movie. In fact, I actually think the only positive I can give it is Amy Adams' performance once again. She's such a great actress. She really is. One of the best ever. And I think she plays this character great once again, but the whole angle of her turning into an evil stepmother and the way she plays that character as well, I think she also nails. There's this one scene where she keeps going back and forth between Giselle and evil Giselle, and I just found it to be very entertaining, and she does that transformation incredibly well. And yeah, that's where my positives end. Like I said, not a very good movie. Patrick Dempsey, I really like in the first movie, but here it feels like he has nothing to do. He just adds nothing to this movie to the point where you could almost write him out entirely. You've got Maya Rudolph, who I like as an actress. I thought she was great in Bridesmaids and The Way, Way Back, but I don't think she was the right pick for this character. She just doesn't look the part, and I found her performance to be very Disney Channel y. Like, it didn't feel like a streaming movie, even. It felt like a Disney Channel performance. Then you've got Gabriel Bardacchino, who I found to be quite bad in this movie. You've got Yvette Nicole Brown, surely from Communities, in this movie, and she's bad in it. She's very over the top and not in a good way. Same with Gemma Mays. I didn't think she was good. You've got Alan Tudyk, who as soon as I heard his voice, I'm just like, oh, he's doing the King Candy voice. You've got Griffin Newman, who voices Pip, who I thought did a really bad job. And then you've got Oscar Nunez, Oscar from The Office. He plays a very minor character, but everything this guy's in that's not The Office, he is annoying in, and that's the case here. You've got James Marsden, who is completely underutilized in this movie. He has almost nothing to do, which is a shame because I love his performance and his character in the first one. You've got Idina Menzel, who was in the first movie, and it kind of turned into a fun fact that, hey, did you know that the voice of Elsa is in the first Enchanted movie? So this time they actually took advantage of that and got her to sing. But despite her great singing voice, she doesn't really have anything to do. And the songs in this movie are actually awful. I watched this movie last night and I can't remember a single song in it. They're just very forgettable, very generic sounding songs that have zero impact at all. And that wasn't the case with the first movie. The song, I've been dreaming of a true love's kiss, is like the perfect Disney spoof song, which I think is both hilarious, but it still has that sound to it. Happy Walking song, I enjoy that song. How Do You Know is perfect because at first it's kind of cringy, but then by the end you're kind of into it, so you have the same reaction as Patrick Dempsey's character. And So Close is legitimately one of the best Disney songs ever. Like, that song should be talked about in the same breath as A Whole New World and A Beauty and the Beast. It's a really great song. So, the first movie, great songs. This one, zero great songs. And the story just doesn't work. I do kind of like what they're trying to do and some of the ideas present. You know, you've got this wishing wand that if you make a wish, it comes true, but it also takes away magic from the animated land. And soon Giselle just messes everything up and she becomes an evil stepmother. I actually really like that plot. I think it could have worked, but the writing here is just so weak. Like, the first act of this movie is every single cliche that you have seen in any movie ever all at once. And it's just like, wow. Like, there's even this one point, well, the characters wake up at 5 a.m. and they even make a comment like, did we really have to wake up this early? And then in the next scene, we see Robert and he's just running around like, oh my goodness, I'm so late, I'm so late. What do you mean you're so late? You just woke up. It's like in the 5 o'clock area. Like, you're not late. The only reason he said he's so late is because it's a cliche in this kind of movie. And it's just a small moment, but it really bothered me. And then, what's James Marsden character's name? I totally forget. But James Marsden and Adina Menzel come in and they're like, hello, we have come to give you this wishing wand. And that's just it. The movie plot begins just because the script says so. Like, I'm not saying I expect an Oscar-worthy script here, but come on, that is so lazy. You know, like, the best thing, kind of plots like this, is when the item has some kind of significance. For example, the lamp in Aladdin has significance because Jafar's been after it all this time, so then he gets Aladdin involved, and that's when Aladdin gets the lamp. So the item is already enriched in the story and the characters, while here it's just, it's time to introduce the main plot point. So here we go. It's just there now. Hated that. And when I was watching this movie, there just came a certain point where I'm just like, does there really need to be two villains? Like, Amy Adams is just chewing up the scenery as an evil stepmother. Couldn't we just have that? I think Maya Rudolph's character is actually completely unneeded. I think you could have written her out entirely and you'd get a much tighter movie, and that would have been much better. Because in some ways it feels overcrowded and it doesn't work. And this movie is 2 hours long and it did not need to be. You could have easily shaved off a half hour. And then we get to the last act and just everything here is a mess. Like, okay, you know what? Screw it. Spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen the movie, there's your warning. But Giselle's evil and they're trying to get her to have her Giselle memories back. So they give her this sheet and she's just like, I don't need that. And she just rips it up. And then all of a sudden, the Giselle we know is back. And it's just like, well, you had her be evil and rip it up. Why not just go ahead with that? Like, why even have that moment if you're not going to dedicate yourself to it? And then Maya Rudolph's character has Morgan in this trap where if she doesn't drop the wand, the wishing wand, then she'll kill Morgan. And it's just like, why not I wish for the evil queen to die immediately? Why not just do that? Like, I was yelling at the screen the entire time, just wish for her death. It is so easy. Or just make the wish, like, I wish to take back my wish. And then the evil queen wouldn't have her powers and you could just go back in time. But no, she drops the wand, the evil queen breaks it, and it's just like, oh, we have no hope left. And then it's just like, well, see, the wand has no powers if it's broken, but then it does have powers if it's broken. And then Morgan makes her wish and it works, and it's just like, what are the rules here? Even with the scroll, apparently tells the evil queen all the rules of the wand, and I thought that maybe she would have a way to get around them at least. But that just really comes across as irrelevant. Like, you know, why not do what Aladdin did in the last act? The evil queen gets the wand, she finds a way to use it, and she becomes much more powerful and much more evil, or something like that. But what we got was just unclear rules and just a mishmash of things happening, and this movie is terribly directed by Adam Shankman. The props all look very cheap. Like, when Amy Adams is like, I wish to become the evil queen and the crown forms on her head, it honestly looks like the Burger King crown. It looks cheap. The CGI is really bad for the most part. Pip, especially as the evil cat, just looks awful. And the scroll, it looks like the Microsoft Word scroll like the help scroll that existed quite a while ago. I don't know if it still exists, but it looks really bad. And this movie also does the fade out editing, and it just makes it look really cheap. But as much as I'm tearing this movie apart, it's not that bad. Like, I do think Amy Adams is great, and I do like some of the story beats here. I just wish the movie was tighter, better written, funny, had better music, had better characters. So, like, it's heavily flawed, but it was nowhere near as bad as Hocus Pocus 2. It didn't annoy me, it was just wasted potential, and I wish this movie just really didn't exist. I would have been just okay if Enchanted was a one and done. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and give Disenchanted a 4 out of 10. I don't know how I could get excited for any future Disney Plus release. Like, it sounds like they might be making a Freaky Friday 2, a Princess Diaries 3, a National Treasure 3, but I know all these movies are just going to get dumped on Disney Plus, and because they're going to be the bottom of the barrel, they're just not going to get the attention they deserve. They're just going to exist because it's based on IP that might draw some new viewers in, and I just think that that kind of thinking doesn't produce good movies. So I think the whole streaming landscape right now in the world of entertainment is just depressing. But what did you think of Disenchanted? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin